Welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Trade. We have an incredible guest with us today, Gemma Stunt from Mouse and Bear. Welcome, Jenna, to this Let's Talk Trade session.
Thanks so much, Dorothy.
Thank you so much. Gemma, tell us a little bit. Who is Gemma? You are the founder and shareholder of Mouse and Bear. You've been in the industry of trade, cross-border trade, and importer of record services as a specialization for many years. Why did you get into this, and what is so inspiring for you about this industry? What do you love about it? What makes this come alive for you?
Yes, thank you. That's some great questions there, Dorothy. So my background is that I actually started my career in IT technology in the early days of the 2000s, and evolution of firewalls and switches and data centers, and well, basically the start of the birth of the internet as we kind of know it today. Although it looked incredibly different back then, even 20 years ago, as people are aware. I started my career working for technology companies in sales, doing high touch enterprise sales, selling to global end users, a lot of hardware switches, and a lot of it was on premise then rather than the early data centers. And what became clear as my career progressed and my deals got bigger and my end users got bigger, was that once you got a purchase order, you'd done the deal, you'd sold the technology and the solution to the client, even when the purchase order was in, actually the goods still had to be delivered. And unfortunately, technology companies often don't remunerate their salespeople until the goods are physically delivered. But this was back in the day where trade compliance was still quite in its infancy. Dual use WASNA agreements, controlled goods was also in its infancy, and there were a couple of cases where some firewalls which were have encryption were caught in places that they shouldn't have been, and it kind of evolved from there. But naturally, as I had children, I moved away from the very demanding, high expectancy travel of IT, and myself and a couple of colleagues started Mouse and Bear off of the back of recognizing in individual ways that trade compliance was required as a service. Many IT and technology companies have what's called managed services or software as a service or XYZ as a service, but there was no such thing as trade compliance as a service. I had the contacts in the IT and the tech world. My other colleagues had the knowledge in logistics and the early birth of importer of record and exporter of record services, and also operations and finance. And we kind of came together. It was a very typical new business setup. Laptops at kitchen tables, emailing everybody and anybody that we knew, hours and hours on LinkedIn, just sort of contacting people. And we turned 10 years old this year. Last year. 2025, it will be 11 years this year, and now facilitate the trade of some incredibly large global technology companies, distributors, vendors, resellers, but also very unique or smaller niche companies also. Anybody that needs just a little bit of help with the import, and they have no kind of direct representation in the country. So we do it to about 160 countries worldwide, and offer a very family feel, because we still are sort of a family business, bespoke service, and our customers enjoy that.
Oh, it sounds like a 10-year of fun roller coaster ride. Absolutely incredible, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's been a roller coaster. Any new business, anybody that's set up a new business will recognize the roller coaster it has been.
Absolutely. That wonderful entrepreneurial journey of complete biting on your teeth and move forward.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's incredible. So, I mean, you offer a complete experience actually of you've been almost a fly on the wall in the world of trade, like seeing the entire evolution, supply chain, technology development, circular economy development, all of that stuff, right? You've actually been privy to all of that. So, on a personal note, though, what makes you personally, as Gemma, excited to be a witness to all of that. What do you enjoy about it?
I think it's about the journey, right? It's never about the end result. It's always about the journey. It's helping customers that we work with who are just, they've always been a bit perhaps a little bit scared or restricted on global trade, and we partner with them and suddenly they flourish and are able to grow their businesses. And we've got quite a number of customers who have gone from maybe one or two shipments and small global deals a year to now having a developed, mature engine with us sitting behind them, being able to offer their own clients or their deals a full logistics and trade compliance service, but without any of the risk. And yeah, I get really, I am all about the journey. It's absolutely lovely to watch the confidence grow, and the thank you, God, we wouldn't have got this deal without you, and those sorts of things. That's what really makes me happy.
It is so amazing, right? When you see that light go on in a client's face, that moment of oh, now I get it. And
Yeah.
in the beginning, the journey of a trader is like I just need to get this stuff into a country because my sales department is going to scream at me if it doesn't work. And then after a while, when the operations team feels so confident that they can operate in a market, they know it is right, they know it operates smoothly, and they can even say to sales, why are we not tackling this market? Because it's there. Come on, guys, sell. Where you can, as an operations expert, communicate back to your commercials and say, hey, we've got the operations covered. Now, come on. You're
Yeah.
not selling enough.
As with many industries, education is the larger piece. It's we assist our customers operations department being able to help them educate their CFOs, CEOs, sales directors, the people that don't have a finger in the operational logistics pie. So we don't just do an A to B shipment. We literally just we ensure that they have the information that they need to articulately communicate that customs and international trade is not linear. It's not always, well, it's not automated in necessary ways, and actually some days a shipment can be delayed because there's a cranky customs officer, and that very much exists in today's world. And we really help our customers to ensure that they're able to understand and articulate that so that they feel comfortable that actually everything is being taken care of, but that they can communicate internally as well.
That's beautiful. That is really, really beautiful. And I mean, if you think about, you said 160 countries worldwide, in the importer of record field, cross-border trade. I think if we look at where we are right now, 2026, we are in a turmoil of cross-border trade like I would almost say, not never seen before, but haven't experienced for a while. And we see at this moment, that there is so many challenges, changes. Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth right now, so I'm not going to allude to the things that I see. I think I would rather want to ask you, from your vantage point, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges globally for companies that want to trade internationally? What is the things that they need to look out for? And what is the biggest hurdles, let's say, companies are struggling with at this moment?
My goodness, that is a big question. The webinar
I like to
needs to be
listen.
longer. I think there's two or three major things that are going on that everybody is either aware of, concerned about, or trying to make sense of. We couldn't possibly have this sort of discussion without mentioning AI, right?
No.
It's on everybody's lips, regardless of your industry, what you do, your position, from top to bottom. The challenges around AI is that we've been given this tool, this weapon, this power, and we don't really know what to do with it. Companies, the buzzword is, oh, we're now, AI enabled, or we're doing X, Y, Z through AI systems. But actually, nobody really understands what that is that they're trying to achieve and what the end goal necessarily is. So for trade compliance, obviously there's a lot of concerns at the moment around the usage of AI driven HS coding. Are we at a point where we can use AI to start giving auto commodities? What is the point that the liability stands? So if a HS code is wrong and it's been generated by an AI platform system, whatever, the shipper still has to be liable. It's their documentation at the end of the day. Not to mention sort of the use of AI. There's talk now, I forget what country it is. I forget what country it is. Forgive me. Where customs have implemented an AI program whereby it will auto select shipments that need investigation. Okay. So there is a lot going on, and the problem is you read about the AI developers, and even they're not sure how to monetize or how to use AI in a practical and correct manner. So I think the challenges this year are going to be for companies, not just companies in a commercial sense, but companies and individuals to try and understand how and where they're going to use AI and where their line is. Where do they feel that it's just a useful tool, and where does it become a decision maker? And across trade, that can mean anything from trucking solutions, delivery solutions, customs, HS coding, valuations, you name it. And of course, who the liability sits on. At the end of the day, it's a shipment is always got to sit in sort of liability and that early responsibility of the shipper. So that one's going to be big, because there's a lot of different opinions as well. It's quite an emotive subject. And what people's thoughts are on it. So it's not like a Microsoft Word product, is it? It does this or it doesn't do that. So that's going to be interesting. I think secondly, trade has obviously become a topic that is now discussed in a cafe or in a pub, because what Mr. Trump did with all his tariffs, regardless of what your opinions are about what he has and is doing, has raised it to the wider public. Nobody knew kind of 18 months ago, you couldn't go home to your sister or your wife who weren't in trade and start talking about tariffs. They wouldn't have had a clue what you were on about. They didn't even know that they existed in most times. But I think the awareness now around tariffs and understanding that actually tariffs are being used in a very different way, and that there is no longer a single piece of paper or a single source of truth where all tariffs are right and correct for 2 months, 3 months or something, when it's an ever-changing landscape. So I think the acceptance has to be that for larger companies, and I know a lot of US companies are really, really struggling at the moment to not only understand what's implementation is going ahead at the governmental level of new tariffs on various different commodity codes and product types and that sort of thing, but also realizing that there isn't a single source of truth and trying to tackle that. I think that's going to be a big one, whilst everybody gets their head round the change. Everything is changing, and it's changing quicker than a single file or piece of paper can keep up with. I think lastly, I think in 2026, I think we all have to remember that we're human. And I say that in trade, and I say that in as human beings, because if we don't, then we run the risk of forgetting what's important. Like I said, for IOR, particularly in EOR, it can often be a very specialist move, especially when you're dealing with dual use goods, and therefore licenses and permits are required. And in many nations like Africa, like some of the southern Eastern Asian countries, all of the shipments or some shipments are processed by people. It's not machine, it's not automated, it's not AI, it's not run through scanners and things. It is people looking and touching and feeling shipments and valuing them and making sure they're adhering to all the correct licensing requirements. And actually that sometimes it takes some time to just breathe and stop, and that there's always going to be a human element, and there has to be a human element to trade to ensure that we all kept safe. So I think those are probably the top three things. I think number one and number two are going to be the mainstay of the subjects for the year.
Oh, how beautiful is that? Now, what for me resonates the most with what you're saying, it's as if, whether it's AI or, whether it's then ultimately the tariffs, or whether it's then ultimately the people that needs to be involved in permits and licenses and all of those things. For me, it almost sounds like there is a baseline of need for empowerment of people. And the going back to the roots of what makes us as a humanity so strong is our ability to learn, grow, and accompany one another on this journey. And therefore, whether it's AI and we need to learn to teach the AI what it needs to know, but we as well need to learn what we can trust and what we should not trust. Therefore, we need to learn the knowledge we need to be responsible, almost like a teenager when you become, when you grow up and you learn, oh, I need to take responsibility for my own bills and paying my rent. It's almost as if we are in that phase as a humanity that we need to learn to take responsibility for our trade. You can't just hand it off to AI and expect somebody else, almost lead by abdication. Need, or lead by delegation. You need to lead and you still take responsibility, even if you delegate. And you're still responsible, even if AI provides you with options. You are responsible for making that decision to, after the let's say the recommendation is made by an AI, you need to decide, is it right or wrong? And which shows me that because AI has that ability to think so fast, it's as if we need to empower the humans to be able to keep up with pace and be able to not depend on that information, but make decisions that would be accurate based on that information. So it places a much higher onus on empowerment and knowledge. Same with tariffs, which is beautiful. It's as if this world of trade is coming back to home, right? We have been traders at our core since the beginning of time, with ships and trading apples for meat and these type of things. So now we're trading cross border. So we're bringing it back home to who we are as a human race. And then ultimately, if anybody can talk about trade, which is beautiful, it's about people. We need to be there for one another and grow. And I love it. It sounds for me, it's all empowerment of people on different levels, all the way from starting to executing to being able to justify and defend, so that we can grow as a human race.
I saw a wonderful meme on one of the social media platforms recently, and it was a cartoon, just a 3 or 4 sort of slot cartoon. It was a man in a forest, and he took a picture of a mushroom and went, this is what is this? And the AI said, well, this is a mushroom. You can eat mushrooms. And then the next cartoon picture was him in hospital, and he said, now I'm ill. And he went, oh yes, mushrooms can be poisonous. Would you like me to send you a picture of more poisonous mushrooms? And it was a really good representation of, actually, you get the information you've asked for, but the don't expect AI to give you a three-dimensional view of that. You can say, what is the HS code, but don't expect it to then say, but actually the HS code might be different because it contains this sort of, component or or iron or something, whatever. So I think I'm a mum. I've got two young boys, and they are already saying things like, well, if AI gives you the answer to everything, why do I need to go to school and learn? And I was shocked to the core by that. And I think we have to be careful that for the next generation of people coming into trade, for the young people and the recruits and people coming in that are young and impressionable, I think we have to ensure that the rich knowledge and in-depth dynamic thinking must always exist, regardless of what programs and tools are available.
Yeah, exactly. That element of true critical thinking, the skill of critical thinking one step further, really assessing, implication of application, the impact of what's going to happen, just thinking that 3, 4, 5, 10 steps forward, and then coming back, make a decision and knowing what going, and not just making a decision and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think
absolutely.
that will be very, very important. I think not only for our next generation of youngsters, but in every single trader that goes into the field of trade, to not just trust blindly, but to really look towards, to your point, the human race. The humans are there. We really care about each other.
Yes.
And we will have each other's back in helping each other grow through this trade journey. Fine, we can use AI to make it faster and more efficient, but still we need to upskill our, each other and support each other on that journey. And I think that's a beautiful start for 2026.
Yes, I think it's very good. It's big and it's scary, but I think everybody gives everybody some food for thought.
Absolutely. Well, Gemma, I want to thank you so much for joining us in this episode of Let's Talk Trade. It would be an absolute pleasure inviting you back for next time.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved every minute.
And thank you, everybody else, for joining us in. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Trade. We talk trade next time. Bye-bye.